Hey YouTube, it's Sunday.
Why are you such a copycat?
So I'm standing today, so that's a difference. Stop it. So I was filming audition videos. It's like an online audition thing that I was doing because I really want to get back into acting and I miss it. I'm passionate about it. Moving to LA so I can start pursuing it more. And then I just kind of felt like filming a YouTube video because why not? I already had makeup on. I was already kind of like in the zone, you know what I mean? And then I started thinking about high school theater back when I was acting all the time. And I thought I could tell a story time from back in that day because there are a lot of them, obviously. It's high school and it's a theater. But today we're going to talk about one specific experience, which is also partly inspired with how fucking hot it has been in general recently, but also like in my room. I actually just had to turn my fan off and I'm sure I'm gonna be sweating by the end of the video, but it's been messing with the sound. Anyway, so this is gonna be a story time about the time that I was acting in a play and I thought someone died in the audience. I know! I'm not exaggerating. Alright, so the year was probably 2011? Probably, I don't know, I think it was my junior year. And we were putting on The Miracle Worker, which if you don't know, it's the story of Helen Keller and all that good stuff. So I had the part of Kate Keller, who was Helen Keller's mom, and yeah, I was really excited about this role. I loved it. It was so much fun. We got to eat on stage. There's actually a funny story about that. Connor was also in the show with me, and the very first night, before the show even started, you know, there was the scene that we were talking about where like we were all like eating dinner and then like the lights went on our side of the stage and they lit up on the other side of the stage to focus on Helen and whatever her name is, the teacher, Annie or something, I don't know. But yeah, so like we were supposed to still be like eating on stage but like slowly and like don't pay attention to us, but we're still like existing, you know what I mean? We weren't gonna like freeze. And I remember telling Connor, because we had pickles on the plate, and I hate eggs, and there were eggs on the plate, and etc. If you don't know the story of Helen Keller, like, the beginning, she, like, grabs everybody's eggs. Anyway, so the first night, I was like, I'm gonna eat pickles. I'm gonna eat pickles during my scene. I'm gonna eat them real slow. Like, I don't even remember exactly what I was saying about it. I was just, like, making a joke about eating the pickles, and it was, like, the funniest thing in the world, but then I forgot about it, because that was, like, way before the show actually started. Like, we were getting into makeup and costumes and stuff like that. The audience, I don't even think had been let in yet. So then by the time the scene came along, which was like midway through the show, the lights went down on us and I'm like eating my pickles and I remember and I look over at Connor and I start snickering and the lights are off on me and I'm not supposed to be making noise because then people are gonna look over at me instead of the other scene. Anyway, that's just a little tidbit about that show. It was a fun time though. That's actually also the first time I ever realized that I could make myself fake cry when I wanted to. Not like, you know, real bawling tears, but I can like make myself tear up. Anyway, so, okay, so the point of the story. So the first night went well. I snickered on stage, but no one really noticed. Actually, Nooch didn't even notice, who was our theater teacher at the time. And yeah, so I didn't tell him. Actually, that's a lie. I think I probably did tell him. And then he was like, oh, I didn't even notice. And I was like, oh, why did I tell him? Anyway, so yeah, the first night went really well because there's like this superstition that like if dress rehearsal goes poorly, which it did, then, you know, the first night will go well. And it did. It was awesome. We also tend to have a thing where like if the first night goes well, at least this was at my theater, I don't know if this is like a superstition anywhere else, but at my theater usually if the first night went well, the second night was shit. And our teacher always said it was because like we got cocky or whatever and didn't try as hard. I don't know if it was that. I think it was just that like, I don't know, luck, I don't know. But because of that, the first show went amazing and the second show did not. Now by that I don't mean that the acting was bad the second night. I really don't think it was that bad. Actually, I think we still did really well the second night, acting-wise. But situation-wise, things that happened were very bad. So the second night, you know, we're in costume and makeup and whatever, and we're all getting ready and everything's fine. We're so excited because last night went awesome. Tonight's gonna be awesome. Screw the superstition. It's gonna be awesome. And so, you know, we start the show. Everything's normal. But the only thing was, now the night before, the Friday, was fine. Like, we weren't really that hot. I feel like it was a little hot in the theater, but it wasn't bad at all. I mean, we even had classes in there that day. Like, we would have noticed. So it really wasn't bad. Saturday, the second night, it was really bad. Like, we came in, we got into costumes, which again, it's, you know, back in the day, I don't remember what year specifically, but we were all wearing, like, I was wearing a corset, if you can call it that. I'm bitter about that, but that's a different story for the other day. But, you know, I was wearing, like, a little corset. A couple other people were wearing corsets, and we were wearing, like, big dresses and whatever. and it was hot. Like honestly, we got in our makeup and immediately like started sweating it off. So yeah, it was really, 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 really hot. But show business is show business, even though it was high school, but whatever. We were still gonna go on with the show. So we start the show, everything's going fine, you know, people are acting fine, we got our makeup on, we got our costumes on, etc. Like no one's forgetting lines for the most part. It's great. It's hot. Especially under the stage lights, but it's great. Then I remember there's the scene where Helen is in like her room or a nursery or something with, again, I think her name is Annie, the teacher. And Kate, the mom, me, comes in and is like checking on it and like asking Annie about her methods or whatever. I think she's like judging her or something. I don't remember exactly. But she's like leaning in the window and like, hey Helen, and you know, talking to Annie, who were like on the stage, and I'm like behind the set but like peeking in the little window cutout thing. Again, it's going as planned, it's going normal, and then we hear someone in the audience, like a little girl, yell, "Grandma, no!" Again, it was really hot, but we didn't really think much of it at first. I wasn't really sure. Again, she sounded like a little girl, so we thought maybe she was just like throwing a tantrum. Maybe the grandma was like, no, you gotta stay in here and not go to the bathroom, or like, no, you can't have candies out of my purse, like you gotta be quiet. I don't know, something like that, I don't know. But you know, we heard that and we kind of just kept going, because when you're in theater, you're trained to kind of ignore what the audience does or says. You know, you can't let yourself get distracted by every little thing, or you're not going to be in character, you're going to forget your lines, like it's just not going to be a good time. And so when that girl yells, "Grandma, no!" like we didn't do anything, we just kept going on about the scene. We like paused for a second, but then we kept going on. So then yeah, in the middle of someone's line, I don't remember whose it was, but someone was talking, we hear the theater teacher start going, "Stop the show, turn on the lights, call 911, like freaking out, like, so everybody stop. And we don't like look out into the audience because we're trying to like stay in character, but I just kind of like back up and go away. It was really easy for me because again, I was just like leaning in a little window, and so I just like backed up out of the scene. And then it was awesome actually. Annie like grabbed Helen, and you know, they have different names obviously in real life, but like the characters, whatever, they were trying to stay in character, and so like Annie grabbed Helen by the arm and like led her off stage. And it was awesome. Apparently like we heard later from Nooch that like one of the kids in the audience, whenever they saw the girl who played Helen like walking around backstage, was like, "Oh my god, she can see!" So that was cool. But anyway, yeah, so next thing we know, we're all backstage like, what is happening? I'm so confused. And then one of the tech people tells us a lady had a heat stroke in the audience, which is terrifying. I mean, all we heard was, "Grandma, no!" And now call 911, turn up the lights, stop the show. Like, it's a big deal, you know what I mean? I mean, I'd never had to call 911 or never been around anyone who had to call 911, because I mean, you know, I was lucky in that sense, but like, it was a big deal for that reason. And so we're all like freaking out, like, I wonder what's happening, I hope she's okay. And I remember there was this guy that I was like in love with at the time for some reason, and so we all like kind of like did a little prayer thing, like, "Oh, I hope she's okay." We're all like super scared. Nooch comes back at one point to kind of like update us on the situation. He's like, a paramedic's coming, so you know, once they get her out of here, we're just gonna keep the show going, because these people paid tickets to see you guys, and you know what, we're already like halfway through the show, so we're gonna keep going. And we're like, oh my god, but like, what if she's not okay? Like, oh my god, that's horrifying. But again, it's theater and that's just what happens, you know, like you keep going. No business like show business in high school. So yeah, so we're all prepared to like keep going, we're ready, we're just like waiting for the signal. And then the lady like gets in the ambulance, and I don't know, they like check her vitals and stuff. I assume they give her some kind of medicine, they cool her down. I'm not even sure if they like, I think they took her to the hospital, but like immediately whenever they picked her up, they first like took care of her in the ambulance. So yeah, they like made sure to tell Nooch like, hey, she's okay, she's fine, like she's gonna survive, it's just a scary situation. And the little girl like left with them, obviously. I'm actually still not sure who it was. Like, I don't know if I ever even thought to ask, but I have no idea who it was, no idea who the little girl was or the grandma or anyone who was related to her. I don't know what happened to her afterward, but she was fine. She just like had a stroke and had to go to the hospital and like, you know, rest up. But yeah, they like stayed to make sure she came to before they left and went to the hospital. So she was fine, and you know, the show continued. It was really hot, of course, but we kept going. Again, like I said, I am sweating, but yeah. And then after that, I mean, nothing happened. They obviously had to come in and fix the air before school started back up on Monday, because a woman had a heat stroke, you know, that could happen to the high school students too, and that's a danger. So, you know, they had to come in and fix it, and it was fine the next weekend. I mean, again, it was still like kind of hot out just because it was like summer-ish time. It was just like hot, but and it was a great show. I had a few complaints here and there, like, again, the fact that I wasn't wearing an actual real corset. I was supposed to be wearing a corset at first, and then someone else had like made a complaint. Okay, it wasn't a complaint. They made a joke about like, oh yeah, I'm wearing a corset, but I can still breathe. And then there's like an alum that would hang out all the time and like do our makeup and stuff like that and just like help out with the show. And she was like, oh no, you can't make a joke like that. Watch how you breathe in this corset. And like they took the one that I was supposed to be wearing and put it on that person, and they gave me a little cloth corset. Listen, okay, fine, but the reason why they gave them that corset was just because they made a joke, but also it was like a minor character, and like, I mean, that's fine, but at the same time, I was on stage more of the time, and they gave me this little cloth corset that didn't like hold anything in it, and in fact, it like gave me more of a roll, and I wasn't able to fit into one of my dresses because I had to get rid of the corset, and also I was just sad. I really liked the corset, but I'm just bitter. Anyway, yeah, that's gonna be this story time. I think I did it a little bit shorter than normal. I may not have, because I'm me and I talk a lot, but anyway, yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and film a video tonight and do all that stuff, especially one about theater, because again, I really miss acting, because I also just finished some like online auditions and stuff, and I'm helping Connor with some as well, and like when we move out to LA, I'm gonna be trying to pursue acting more because I just miss it. Like it's like one of the only things I've ever been so passionate about. I never wanted to quit. Like even when I was so frustrated and so mad with like Nooch or like any of the other people working on the shows or anything, like even the worst time of my life, which was a doll's house, which I will tell a story about later, I still didn't want to quit, and I feel like that's important. So yeah, anyway, that's gonna be about all for this video. I am actually gonna stream myself trying to edit this video on Twitch. I'm gonna start doing that weekly, hopefully. I'm just such a copycat on there, like I am on most other places. So go ahead and follow me on all my social medias, and check out my Patreon, which has new like tiers and stuff, and I'm posting Patreon exclusive posts on there that you can unlock for just $1 a video, or more if you decide to give more. And yeah, anyway, I am out of breath. It's 3:30 in the morning. I'm tired. So I'm gonna go. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Stay sweaty, macchiatos. I know I will.
Why are you such a copycat?
Ow, it gets hot in here. My window's open, and I'm still just... I mean, the ring light doesn't help, but it's not that hot. Oh,